Dungeons and Dragons. Love it or hate it, it is one of the most popular tabletop games for every nerd and loser that watched too much Lord of the Rings growing up. My name's Max, I'm a dungeon master, and this is my crew. Dungeons & Dragons, or D&D, is a tabletop game where you play as a fantasy character of your own making, with usually 3 to 6 of your friends. There's also a dungeon master, or DM, in charge of everything around the characters. NPCs, monsters, goblins, ghouls, and everything in between. Players make choices, and a dice roll will decide whether or not they're successful. There's both combat and roleplay, which is the Battle of Isengard versus Romancing Gollum. I know that minifigures can be a bit of a daunting task for some people, so I've linked some resources down below for if you want to paint your own minifigures, or avoid them altogether. Everyone has their own playstyle, and luckily D&D is so flexible that you can pretty much play any way you want, with or without minis. My friends and I each paint our own, so it's really fun to see all of our different art styles out on our board. Hi, so this is my sister. She actually introduced me to D&D about 7 years ago, and she writes her own campaigns. So what is your favorite campaign you've written so far?
Aw, man. Well, probably my favorite one is the one that I've been running for about 3 years now. It's about this big war between like dragons and humans. But there's this one that I'm working on about ancient Greece, which is also gonna be really cool.
That is so swag. So how often does your group meet?
I mean, ideally once a week, but it usually ends up being once every other week just because we have to take like long breaks sometimes. Scheduling is very hard because one of our players lives in Scotland. So she's 8 hours ahead of us.
So how do you manage playing online with her?
Well, we have our sessions Sunday mornings, which is Sunday night for her. And then we use Discord. So we all just, show up at the allotted time in our respective time zones. And yeah, I use Roll20 for online play, which is a virtual tabletop. So you have the maps kind of there and you can put little tokens on it to move yourself.
Speaking of websites, another really handy website is called D&D Beyond.
Yeah.
You can explain that a little bit if you'd like.
Oh man, D&D Beyond is it's a site that I use to make characters because it walks you through every step of the character creation process by giving you different options, which is really, really nice, especially for new players. I always recommend new players go to D&D Beyond first because it literally walks you through how to make it so easy. But you can also, and I actually haven't used this bit of it, but you can manage campaigns there too. So you can add NPCs, you can add monsters, and I don't think they have their own virtual tabletop, but you can do a lot of stuff in D&D Beyond. Highly recommend.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
So what do you personally enjoy about D&D?
I think that it's a really great creative outlet. Because I used to do musical theater with you, obviously.
Wow.
Right? And so, there's singing, there's acting, there's improv, and I didn't have the chance to do a lot of theater in college. So D&D was kind of my place where I could do improv and act. And then I did singing with choir. But also, it's a really, really good way to keep up with friends. Like I said, my friend in Edinburgh, we have this weekly game that we can make sure we talk to each other at least once a week because we have this time set aside. And also, it's writing a story and it's creating a story collaboratively with other people, which I think is magical. And not only is it just super fun, but it also, you create really deep bonds with your fellow players because you're going through these problems together and you're interacting in all these different ways, and it's really cool.
I agree. I think it's a really unique way to bond with people, and it also forces you to hang out with them.
Yeah,
which is really fun.
Up to 4 hours at a time.
Yeah.
Or less.
Anyways, well, thank you so much for talking to me.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Well, see ya at Christmas.
Christmas when you come home very soon.
D&D was first made in 1974, but really began to catch traction in the 80s, a time characterized by political unrest and a general dislike of young people. Then, in 1979, the disappearance of D&D enthusiast James Dallas Egbert III is seen as what started the Satanic Panic and the idea that D&D is a devil worship game that drives people crazy. Once the initial frenzy ended, the game was still active in the nerd scene, but D&D was able to fly under the media radar for a while. Then, in 2016, Season 1 of Stranger Things released, and the game got a whole new wave of attention. A story we all know too well. Anyways, I think it's pretty easy to tell why I love this game so much. I've been playing for about 7 years. I've been a player, a DM, I've played online, in person, with minis, without minis, pretty much everything. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask in the comments. And if you're a new player or you haven't started playing yet, I would highly recommend checking out the resources I linked down below and just starting your own campaign. And thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I hope you have a beautiful day.